some more of that?
Of course, this rhythm is greatly slowed down.
Well, here it is.
Fine thoughts of love and affection. What's right to do?
Now, what's that mean?
Subject for today.
So
Nailed
slurpy.
it.
So slurpy.
Speaking of which,
Kinda
yesterday
gross.
my wife called me, and by the way, thank you for the thoughts and prayers. My wife is, she's not walking that well.
No?
She's getting there.
But it's funny. She's doing better. No, I love my wife, and I've
Yeah.
been trying to take care of her as best I can. She had a simple procedure that she was going in for, and then
Right.
she had a weird reaction to anesthetic. And
Okay.
first off, I have a lot to get to.
Just a little bit.
Right.
So we have some developments with the vandal from yesterday in Deep Ellum. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the worst, most egregious murders from the rioters today.
Oh, my God.
What else are we talking about? We're talking about
Sponsors.
Seth Rogen.
Seth
Yeah,
Rogen.
We got
Yes.
sponsors to get to.
Yeah.
I'll issue the question of the day in a couple seconds, but those who are watching on YouTube, of course, subscribe to mugclub.com/mugclub. You can watch this live on the Blaze.
Yep.
Not all of this is on YouTube. There's like a whole other, what is it, audio way?
Like half hour?
Half hour?
Yeah, at least more than that.
No, I
Jeez.
think we're only on YouTube
That's
for a half an
so
hour.
many minutes.
Right? Yeah.
So my wife had a simple procedure done, and then
Right.
they like struck a nerve, and so she had like this weird sciatica
Yeah.
stuff, and it impinged a nerve. Doctor said, I don't know, I've never seen this. And I said, well, hold on a second.
What?
How many 6-foot women have you done this procedure on? He's like, oh, I see your point.
Yeah, I can't do that many.
The dynamics, which is not what you want to hear from a doctor. Like, couldn't
matter
you
as
have
much.
taken
you're
that,
right.
into, like, calibrated? Like, don't you have a protractor or something?
Don't just avoid the nerves.
But she is doing well. Good.
That's
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
What was I saying?
But you're making
before
fun
that?
of her that she can't walk.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Is it like a funny not walk? Like she stumbles a little?
A little scarecrow from Wizard of Oz.
Side step.
She leans over. I go, ooh.
Oh, that is funny.
And then I throw an apple from her at her tree.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go.
Speaking of assault, and also we'll be reading your chats. Chats are
Yeah.
exclusively available, by the way, at the Mug Club for people. We don't do it on YouTube because they
it at the
censor
Blaze.
and they suck. Audio Wade is here. My half Asian Lord Bill Richmond is not here.
That's true.
Quarter Black Garrett, how are you, sir?
Hey, what's up? I'm
Don't
doing good.
riot.
Hey,
Don't
what?
lose.
No.
I try not to. I'm trying to hold it
Drop
inside.
it.
Don't do
the
it.
TV. Gerald A., how are you?
I am well, sir. How are you?
Good. I like that robe.
People don't ask you how you're doing as much.
It's true.
I'm throwing it back at you.
That's tragic. Yeah.
It's heavy.
I don't know if it's
is-
tragic, Wade.
Heavy wears the
tragic.
crown.
Heavy is the head that wears the
In my
crown.
case, it's a Burger King crown because I was in the kids club.
So not as heavy.
Oh.
yeah,
Not as heavy.
it's
a good crown,
It's
though.
not a great crown, and
Nothing wrong with that
the
crown.
Whopper Jr.
Well-
is just a piece of shit.
Well, at least you weren't in the Michael Jackson Kids Club, so you chose correctly.
That's disgusting, and I don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well,
Morning
neither did
show,
they.
Joe.
Come on,
So-
don't Don't lead with that when we know that multiple stories from today could result in us being banned.
Oh, I figured just get
If
it
they're
out of the
going
way.
to take me out, I don't want it to be over an MJ joke.
That's true.
Jesus juice is passe.
Not even one you told. Yeah.
No, not even when I told.
Right, yeah.
So we are going to be talking about, former police officer who was whose life was taken, David Dorn, today, and I think it's really an important story that isn't being told. And we have seen. Let's see if they're telling it at CNN real quick. Let's fact check. Let's see.
Several of the chiefs were interested in speaking up sooner. Sometimes when you
in
say
retrospect,
like phoning
should
it
not
down?
have used the term battle space regarding
retrospect,
protest
you would have
sites.
done so more quickly.
That's the takeaway here. It really is about language. It's about nuance.
This is all about Trump going and taking a picture at the church and visiting the church that was almost burned down, and they can't get off of it.
Yeah.
They just absolutely cannot.
And that
stop
broad
covering
who's
that.
the whatever head of the Episcopal. I'm not an
Yeah.
Episcopal. I don't really know what it means. Is it like Unitarian?
I don't
In
know.
Canada, it's Anglican. Here, it just seems like silliness. But before we move on and talk about all of this, we do have a sponsor. We do have a new sponsor. We are very glad, of course, we're sponsored by Black Rifle Coffee, loudwithcrowder.com. Sorry, blackriflecoffee.com/Crowder.
There you go.
Promo code Crowder, 20% off. Great coffee, veteran-owned, pro-Second Amendment guys. Support them. But we're also really happy to have a new sponsor today, Exercise.
With benefits such as controlling your weight, reducing the risk of heart disease, and an overall lift in your mental health and mood, exercise is the obvious way to start your morning. And yet, you still refuse to do it. Exercise can help your body manage blood sugar and insulin levels, strengthen bones and muscles, and even reduce your risk of some cancers. So why in the name of Saint Sebastian don't you? I mean, would it really be so hard? Some people enjoy testing themselves and their limits, experiencing growth, accomplishment, and a general sense of victory over oneself. But not you. You prefer to roll out of your lukewarm bed into a lukewarm shower, eat a lukewarm breakfast, and drive off to work for people who don't care if you live or die. Exercise. Push yourself. For once.
Was that last shot? Was that the girl from Game of Thrones?
It was. Yeah.
Was it?
That's going to be a strike.
Yeah. Dunzo.
You couldn't get the eunuch with the hand warmers?
Yeah.
I used to use the elliptical until I realized I could mind myself to fitness.
Yeah.
But what is this fitness really paying for?
Before Game of Thrones, she had to do stock footage.
Did she?
Yeah.
It's really
Long
sad.
careers.
A lot of actors get their start at Getty. All right.
It's a start, yeah.
It's a start.
Damn
It's a start.
you,
You know,
Getty.
we all have our thing.
Yeah.
Was it Tom Hanks had bosom buddies?
Right. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
He did.
Redhead from Game of Thrones has Getty.
Yeah.
Media's changing.
Don't knock her, man.
The landscape is changing. So, quick question. I guess, and not to bring this down to be a downer, but we'll find a way to hopefully make this entertaining. But I do think this matters. This is very important for people
Yes,
to know.
it is.
Does David Dorn's life matter, folks? Do we? What is anyone talking about it? Do you know his name? It was trending for about half a second before we got to another bunch of lies that were trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
Right, that these are peaceful protests. Which, at what point does it cease to be a peaceful protest when there's a riot in every single city? There's been a protest. And we'll get to it in a second as to why it's not the exact same thing as people who show up to the Capitol with scary automatic weapons. That phrase was wrong in so many levels.
So many things wrong.
Not quite the same.
Do you even know who David Dorn is? I want to know. People out there, do you know who he is? Do you know his story? And why are we not talking more about black police officers? Yeah. Right. This is something nobody is talking about. Tomorrow we'll be doing another live CNN fact check stream. Is it at 8 p.m. Eastern?
Yes.
8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, sir.
Not happy about it, but oh my
No.
gosh, I feel like it's necessary.
That's twice in 1 week.
I thought we did it last week.
Right. Well, it's
We
like a
did,
follow-up.
right? We
It's like
did.
a follow-up.
And
to
then
it.
I feel so helpless, like I didn't make a dent, because I tune into CNN and Don Lemon is going, these largely peaceful. And then Anderson Cooper, largely peaceful. And Wolf Blitzer saying, I have walls. And you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's the least offensive.
Is he using the toilet at Home Depot? It's a display, Wolf. It's a display.
Again, somebody's going to clean that up.
Flushless. No, Wolf, stop it. Stop it.
Doesn't work. He's a man for the environment, of course.
Yeah.
He is, yes.
Also, not really well known, but it's a wig and a beard on Earthworm Jim.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
No idea. That's where he went.
So David Dorn, I want to make sure that I have this right, he was a police officer
Yes.
in St. Louis, and then he switched over to another district,
Yeah.
and he was not on duty this night of the riots, the looting. It's hard to kind of put these pieces together, but he was helping to protect a friend's business.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. People were rioting, looting, and he was shot dead by a rioter. He was shot dead by a looter, I believe, for a television.
Wow.
Some
Yeah,
other
that's-
type of consumer
yeah,
electronics.
that's the word.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really necessarily know that
it's
it
worth it.
matters.
No.
If it was a Vizio, I've heard Westinghouse may play a role in this.
Is that still around?
It's a big Westinghouse.
Hopefully it's a smart TV.
It's not a Westinghouse.
And I warn you that since everyone knows about the George Floyd footage, and by the way,
Yeah.
every single person here said that was horrible, very tough to watch, that policeman acted well outside the realm of his authority, had horrible
Yeah.
training, and should be held accountable. I want to be really clear. That matters. We all agree. You had us on your side until you started burning down other people's shit.
Yeah.
But since everyone has seen that footage and it was disturbing, and I understand why, I think it's important that we show some of this footage. So I warn you of David Dorn, who was shot dead, and I think we have a censored version, though you can find the whole version online.
OG, 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 come on, stay with me, OG. OG, stay with me. Stay with me, OG. Stay with me, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG, stay with me. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG, stay with me. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, OG. Damn, man, over some TVs, cuz. Over some TVs, man. For real. That's somebody's granddaddy, cuz. Man, you,
Jeez.
It's like you just use a racial
what y'all
pejorative.
trying to do? You talking about y'all kill this man over some TVs, cuz? Over some TVs, cuz? You hear me? That shit we could get, cuz. Over some TVs, cuz. Stop playing, man. OG, come on, OG. Come on, OG. Come on, this somebody granddaddy, cuz. Over some TVs. Call him, cuz. Over some TVs, cuz. Come on, cuz. Come on, man. We better than this, cuz. Over a TV, cuz. Over TV, pop them, cuz. He gone, bro. He gone, bro. Over some TVs, cuz. OG, man, rest in peace, bro. It's nothing but love, bro. You good, bro. It's okay, bro. Just relax, bro. Relax, bro. Relax, bro. Over some TV, you was doing the right thing. You was doing the right old thing. He was trying to protect it, but at the same time, it's the wrong. It's too much going on for that, OG. Come on, OG. We better than that, OG. I think he do work here, man. He work here, man. Over some f***ing TVs, man.
Okay, all right, that's
Ugh.
enough.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane.
Now, I know I tweeted about this quite a bit before, and I was accused of being, and we don't even know who killed that man. Could be white, could be brown, could be black, could be yellow. I don't care. And I don't care if you get mad that I said yellow as opposed to Asian American. A life was lost there, and if you look at my tweets, which were accused of being racist, I said, this is going to lead to more deaths.
Yeah.
Stop it. Please stop it. You can go to the tweets 4 or 5 days ago. You can go to the videos. You can go to last Thursday's show. I said, please, for the love of God, stop this. And this isn't the only black officer who's been killed, by the way.
No.
It's not the only person. It's not the only officer who's been killed. There have been many deaths. And we'll get into that tomorrow when we do the live fact check stream, because I think it's important to watch CNN and see if they discuss. I always hear peaceful protesters. People.
All the time.
Yeah, that's all we're hearing.
Maybe the majority of protesters are peaceful. Okay, let's assume that's true. Doesn't change the fact that everywhere there have been protests, riots have ensued. Everywhere. Outside of, I believe, Frisco, but that's because they know that Frisco don't play like that.
Nope.
They don't go to the suburbs.
They know what's up.
But
Not a good idea.
Why don't we ever hear most officers peaceful? Most
Yeah.
officers law-abiding. And I understand we have a
Yeah,
problem
exactly.
with militarization of the
Vast number
police.
of them.
But why don't we talk, if you are to compare the percentage of protesters who are peaceful, the percentage of protesters who are committing crimes, and I don't just mean shooting cops like we see there, all crimes, any and all crimes, to police officers. All I see on Twitter, if you ever had any doubt as to the social media bias, it is not, first off, if you type in Black Lives Matter, they have 3 fists.
Yeah.
3 fists there. Twitter has decided that they want to toss their lot in with them. And you can't find anything regarding David Dorn. You can't find most of the trends. I think White Lives Matter was trending for a little bit, which, again, I'm not on board with White Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. I just want rule of law to matter, and I want people to not be shot. Constitutional rights matter. What does that mean? That means that you have the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. The police do not have the right to accost you, to invade your personal space, to invade your privacy. They do not have the right to abuse authority that has not been delegated to them. And as a citizen, you have the right to protect yourself with weapons, yes, even the scary semi-automatics, against looters and rioters. That's what matters. Whether you are black, white, red, yellow, Z, take your pick. I don't care. But there are a lot of black officers. There are more right now than ever, I believe, in American history. And no one talks about them.
Yeah,
There's another
absolutely.
officer killed. It was Patrick Underwood.
Yeah.
Do you remember his name, folks? Do you know his name? Any name for Patrick Underwood? Do you think Patrick Underwood might even support some of the protesters out there before it went to looting? Do you think Patrick Underwood might have been a useful voice in reform? If you want reform, don't you want the black officers out there on your side? But you're shooting them dead for an LG, you son of a bitch. I hope you fry.
Yeah.
I hope you fry. YouTube, you want to get pissed at this? I hope that you get lethal injection. And you've heard me say, I don't really care about capital punishment.
Yeah.
Whatever's the cheapest way to get rid of the trash. Yeah. But in this case, not in this case. It's not like it changes, but I'm just saying, I'm speaking a little emotionally here.
Understandably so.
I think I've earned the right to do that because I don't always only speak emotionally, as we see on the left.
Right. Yeah,
I think the facts do matter. And something else, too.
Well, let me say this real quick.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, let me say.
Because you see me getting upset.
This is one of the toughest videos I think that we've ever had to watch or that we've ever shown. And obviously, we've seen a series of very tough videos over the last.
We
few
were
days.
very pissed about George Floyd.
Yeah, very very pissed about that. But my assumption was that they were genuine when they said that all lives matter, right, and Black lives matter, and that if we could only save one life, that's been the mantra right now. Where are the leaders in every community coming out and saying, stop rioting because people are dying in droves now? We've taken one death and turned it into tens or dozens.
Yeah.
Or when is it going to be hundreds of deaths?
How many bodies does it take?
Because you told me that we don't want any people dying.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all here for. We're trying to make sure that we can prevent that first one from going away, life. To have the pursuit of happiness and liberty, you have to have life first, right?
I don't want any innocent lives lost. I'll be really clear now.
I understand.
You invade someone's home, release the hounds, then the rounds.
Why aren't they saying rioters stop?
Did you say hounds? Do you mean racist? You're gonna put me next to a Hitler with a fake Bible side by side because you got
that was
MS
a pretty
Paint?
bad
You
one.
prick.
Photoshop. Come on.
I don't care. Listen,
There's
I
not a
don't
lot of
care.
words that rhyme with rounds, so you had to go with
is true.
something. So,
Yeah, hounds.
You know what I mean?
Betty's a sight hound.
I don't know.
I'm actually glad that I have
She's a
Betty
licking
because
hound.
Hopper was a little
Jeez.
bit racist. He was a rescue. He was a rescue from
bit.
Detroit.
That's not his fault.
You can't really blame him.
Yeah.
Betty doesn't really care though.
No. She has a clean slate.
She does. She is actually.
She's colorblind.
She's afraid of mirrors
Hey,
and
nothing
Indian
like
food for some reason.
Indian food.
Indian food.
How did you find this out?
I was eating Indian food and she ran away scared. She went like I was eating Indian food. And I noticed she always comes up for food, Betty.
Yeah.
And she's all white, so I know the deck's stacked against me right now.
Yeah, very much
she comes
so.
up to food. I was in, we have to teach her don't take the food. But I noticed she was coming up when I was eating food, and I love a good goat
Yeah.
vindaloo.
Of
I do.
course.
Before we go to Beyond Meat and processed crap, goats. Goats require far less land.
Let's
They're
take them
far
out,
more
yeah.
sustainable. It's a cultural thing.
They'll
It's
eat
not like
anything,
eating
too.
cats. Goats. We should just be eating more goat, and it's delicious. And I noticed
the
Betty
next
would come
sponsor.
up and sniff it, and she'd go like this. She'd go like this, and every time I took the fork to my mouth, she would go.
Wow.
And then when I would
She
eat
couldn't
it,
believe
when I
it.
would put it in my mouth, she'd go, and she'd do that thing where she
She don't
tucks
like
her butt
curry or
and
something?
runs like bananas in pajamas. When
Yeah. did she think you were eating dog or something and she was offended by it? Or
No. I didn't order Chinese. So here's something else that people need to realize. And I think it's important that these videos get out, that these stories get out, because this changes the scale, not just of the election, but of Americans understanding where we are. And now you have the overwhelming majority of Americans, the overwhelming support, I should say, to use the National Guard and even Donald Trump using the military, which is so interesting when you look at these polls. They say, we don't really approve of Donald Trump's handling of the crisis. But then when you look at, do you support using the National Guard? Yes. Do you support using the military? Yes. And I think that you're seeing this with the polls. People are afraid to say, I support Donald Trump because people have accused him of being racist. But when you look on the individual issues, I was very surprised.
Yeah.
I was very surprised to see that most Americans believe in using the National Guard. Because if you watch them, that means that Americans are making this decision in spite of ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, every place not named Fox News. And it means that YouTube is going to crack down even more on borderline content like this because they want to make sure that the big boys have, they want to make sure they get in the express lane. 12 items or less, or a budget of $3 to $18 billion, as provided that you broadcast from Turner's Bison Farm.
Well, this David Dorn thing shows that it's not about black and white. It really is about power.
Right.
So David Dorn, or if he's standing in front of a store trying to protect it, he's perceived as having some amount of, if he owns the business or if he's a cop, he is perceived as being the overlord, and they're the underdogs trying to fight it.
He's the enemy.
But yeah, but you can pretend it's about you can pretend it's about black and white, but really it's about Marxism. It's about power inequities, and people are trying to even those out by murder, which is
that's exactly what it is.
philosophy.
That is cold-blooded murder. By the way, hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube, because subscriptions don't mean a lot. Hit all notifications. You can subscribe to Crowder Bits. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, all that. Please do consider joining Mug Club, because we don't make money off of this YouTube channel, and this is the only way that we can do the job the media won't. Yeah. Let me tell you this. George Floyd was, and I'm about to say something that I know is going to piss some people off. Don't really care anymore. George Floyd, not that I really ever did. I was
about to say,
I don't care anymore. I'm going to tell listen, you're pretty much about to get the same, only my heart's going like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Both because of that video and the sauna.
Yeah,
the
sauna this morning. Jeez.
Thanks, Joe Rogan. George Floyd was terrible. This is a worse tragedy. All lives lost matter. Every life is precious. Every life has the same amount of value intrinsically. I want to be clear about that. Okay? However, there is a difference, let's say, someone being caught, to use two scenarios, in crossfire, right? In crossfire between a gang shooting and someone is shot. That's different from somebody invading someone's home, sticking a gun to their gut and shooting them.
Yeah.
Right? That is different. And that's important to know. George Floyd should not have, he died in the care of a police officer. That shouldn't have happened. Now, was he killed by the police officer? The report right now says likely not. It wasn't from a knee on the neck. There was no sign of injury in the neck. He wasn't choked. The guy did have high blood pressure. He had heart disease, like we talked about.
Well, there have been a couple of autopsies that have had mixed results, but it's
that's true.
Well, and we're not taking away the responsibility of the police.
Well, there have been mixed results, but there's agreement on he had heart conditions, he had high blood pressure, he was on drugs. Okay, doesn't mean that he should have. In other words, it's the police's job not only to arrest you, but to protect you.
Yeah,
it is their job to try and
point.
help you if you are sick. They can arrest you, get you in the car, and I know they couldn't get him in the car because he was resisting arrest. But my point is, that is a horrible scenario. Terrible. But it's not the same as this man being killed. One is an example of a police officer who is, I don't think he went out and said, I'm going to lynch me a black today, despite the fact that that's what the critics want you to believe, because they want to go out and they want to justify right now all of their accounts of first-degree murder, second-degree murder in this case. It's manslaughter. I think the guy was careless. I think the guy had reckless disregard for someone's life, and that is wrong with the police. Now, do I think that that's racist? It could have easily been anybody. In this case, maybe it is. We'll find out more about, shouldn't we?
It shouldn't be a controversial statement to say that murder is worse than manslaughter.
It shouldn't be a controversial statement.
But it is.
Murder
It is
worse than manslaughter.
And we've seen tapes of both of those things happening.
And context matters. Listen, shouldn't have died, but when you look at George Floyd, the man was a violent offender who did 5 years. Why? He broke and entered. He faked like he was part of the, I believe, a water company or gas company. Yep. When a lady who lived in the house tried to close the door, he shoved a pistol in her gut and with 5 other armed thugs looted. Did 5 years. But he was turning his life around. No, then he was resisting arrest and there were drugs in his system. None of this means that he should have died. But it does add wrinkles to where there might be a struggle, where there might be chaos. That's different from someone consciously shooting someone for a television set. Yeah. That is worse to me. Now you want to say, well, it's about systemic racism. Well, you know what? Black cop died too. So we can apply that to both.
Yeah, exactly.
One is murder, one is manslaughter.
And have I missed anything? Has there been any evidence that's come out that says that the police officer was a racist or that this was racially motivated in any way?
This police officer?
No, the police officer that killed
Chauvin,
yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I haven't seen that at all. I mean, you can make the claim, that's fine. I just haven't seen anything that says it's a racist white cop that killed a black man.
If you hear
I haven't seen that.
If you hear a report on the news and it's a cop who killed somebody and you're waiting to hear what color everybody was to figure out how you're supposed to feel about this,
right.
You're the enemy.
You're doing this wrong.
You're in the wrong.
Yeah. You're a racist.
Exactly.
You are the racist.
Yeah, exactly. You're the
if you're
person
sitting there going like, how did this happen? Black or white? Well, life was black or white. Well, life was black or white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a cop was negligent in how he handled a suspect, right?
Yeah.
And that's how this person died, and that's a crime, and he's going to go to jail
And it also was
for
different because one was an innocent, well, it was a plainclothes officer.
Right.
One is an entirely innocent civilian who's committed no crime. The other one with Floyd did commit a crime. Has a history of violent crime. Was resisting arrest. doesn't mean the guy deserved it. I think
Correct,
manslaughter
yeah.
is appropriate, but we do need, it shouldn't be a controversial statement to say, hey, if you're a repeat violent offender resisting arrest, there's a much higher likelihood that this ends violently than if you're a police officer who has a history of being a law-abiding citizen and you're trying to protect your friend.
Well, and that's not victim blaming either. That's just good advice.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a rioter standing on a freeway that isn't closed, there's a higher likelihood that you're going to get hit by a car that doesn't know you guys are rioting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you guys are standing on the highway. Like
Right.
it's just good advice not to do that.
They're not going to stop and ask your cause.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
As they don't
hold
see you
on.
coming around the
Who's this
turn or
for?
something, you know? Like
Code pink?
yeah. Can't really tell.
Okay, sorry.
Swerve.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to know, mace, do you prefer bear spray? What do you want?
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
environmentally friendly.
The mace
so-
has been smoking really well lately. It's a 97 mace. The bear spray's a 99. Not a great year.
No, not a great
little
year.
peppery.
sometimes, yeah.
A little bit.
You know
yeah.
what? Let
they
me
changed
know.
the formula.
We'll use both. Here we go.
Hold
Same
on,
time.
gotta shake it. I don't quite get the feedback with your felony spray paint cans. It doesn't make the tick, 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 but I think it's shaking enough. Let me see.
It's good, yeah.
Wouldn't recommend.
It's going on Yelp. Yeah.
1.5
we've
stars.
commandeered your Yelp.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's working effectively.
And this is
Good.
one thing that really bothers me too, because you lose the whole problem when you think that it's just police brutality against black people. You lose sight of the problem. There is a problem with of militarization of some police forces. There is a problem of a lot of police think that it's their job to control us. It is their job to serve us. I saw the police shooting a lady on her porch after curfew. I don't know if this was Minneapolis, which city it was. She was on her own porch. Now that could be a misunderstanding. You still, as a cop, general rule of thumb, don't shoot people with paintball guns on their own porch.
Yes.
I have a problem with that. I want to be very clear. But if you just look at it's black versus what, it's cops versus black people, well, you ignore the black officers. If you look at it as just systemic racism, you don't acknowledge the problem of the militarization of police in certain districts and the need for citizens to defend themselves with the Second Amendment. By the way, it doesn't just apply to looters and rioters, it does apply to corrupt police as well. It does matter. And this is one thing that really bothers me that a lot of people bring up. They think it's like a checkmate argument. When it's the opposite. Yes, it's the opposite of that. When they say, oh, well, it's white people, what about those armed protesters who show up to the Michigan Capitol? First off, wasn't entirely white people, and you can see this across the country. There are plenty of black people who own scary black rifles.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, there are plenty of black people who do. Now, here's the main difference
that are semi-automatic
between
by the way,
that
not automatic
and the Black Lives Matter, okay? They didn't commit any crimes.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. It's not a
seems
crime.
like-
But they were
That could
outside.
be different.
Stephen.
Okay.
They were, well, some of them went inside. That's also not a crime. They showed up. They didn't commit crimes beforehand. They didn't commit crimes there. Here's something that matters. So that's the big difference.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter encourage crimes, criminal enterprise organization. I know it's fractured, but if you look at their leadership, there is not enough condemnation here. Hey, if you want to ask me, do I condemn white supremacists? Find one, and I will.
Yeah.
Find me one. Pull them out. I haven't seen one in years. I haven't seen one since I watched American History X in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
Although I know that everyone here allegedly is, including the black guy. So let's compare armed protesters. You may not like that they have guns. You may not like that. They didn't commit any crimes. Now, let's take into account that gun owners, particularly concealed carry permit holders, are far more likely to obey the law. I think we have an overlay here. We've talked about this on this show.
Yeah.
Concealed carry permit holders obey the law at a significantly higher rate.
Yeah. Even more than police officers.
More than police officers,
Which is
more than the
stunning.
general population.
Yeah.
So, does this matter? Do you think that do you think state officials take that into account when they are gauging what kind of reinforcements and reaction they need? They go, hold on a second. Okay, well, we have a bunch of armed protesters who are out there defending their Second Amendment rights. Let's look at it. Statistically, it's not a threat.
Yeah.
Versus Black Lives Matter. Versus any time there are protests over race-related incidents, they always end violently. Now, let's also look at the crime rates here while we're talking about this. If you look at the crimes committed by individuals of different races against individuals of different races, you see a far higher percentage of crime committed by black people against white people than white people against black people. By black people against black people than white people against black people. And then if you look at these Black Lives Matter riots, protests as they're called,
Well,
apparently they're synonyms now.
they are. Of
Yeah.
course. It's the same
Apparently.
thing.
You see a far more violent history. So statistically, there's a huge difference. And of course, police will gauge their response based on that.
Yeah.
You may not like the optics, and I didn't think it was good optics. I don't think you should go out with an open carry weapon unless you plan to use it. I
No.
think you should Just practical advice, but you have the right to do it. Yeah. But people act like, this just shows how different the treatment is of white people in the system. No, hold on a second. Let me actually give you an extreme example. If that person is out there with magazines loaded to the gills, and for some reason he even does have a stamp permit to have a suppressor on his rifle, which is legal, or fully automatic, which is almost impossible to come by, and he is out there and he has a scary mask and a "Don't Tread on Me" flag, guess what? That still is a more law-abiding citizen than even the guy who's completely unarmed but throws a water bottle at a cop. You have made a decision, because there are concrete water bottles as well.
Yeah.
There are water bottles with acidic agents in there. We saw that with milkshakes. That's what Antifa was doing as well. I was almost a victim of that myself. Guess what? One is scary, one you don't like, one has already committed a crime regardless of what. Oh, bro, a water bottle? Bro, a water bottle? Yeah, you know what? A water bottle. That guy can't take a risk. That black cop at whom you threw it, because he needs to get home to his family. He's not worried about getting home to his family because some guy named Judge showed up with a sniper rifle.
Well, yeah, and by the way, these cops that are on the front lines of these riots, it's not like they are like us. We're sitting at home and watching this on television, completely separated from violence. Our pulse is not racing, and our thoughts aren't going, "Oh my God, I hope I make it through the night." Right? Well, you know what I mean? But it's different than the average person sitting there watching it, going, "Well, if somebody threw a water bottle at me, I wouldn't." Well, yeah, you're in a state where, of course, you could make that decision and be like, "Oh, that's fine. It's a water bottle."
Right.
They're on the front lines of a riot. They have seen footage of fellow police officers being dragged or being, trying to be dragged behind a protester line so that they could beat the crap out of them or God knows what. Remember the lady in Chicago? Yeah. And the other cops are trying to pull her back, right? That's what they're going out thinking. Can you imagine being a police officer right now, going and getting your riot gear on and going and walking out there and standing out there so these thugs can go get their Air Jordans from the Nike store that they want to loot, and just making sure that all hell doesn't break loose?
Could be Skechers too.
Could be Skechers. Well, if they're out of Jordans,
could be a guy named Lyle stealing Skechers.
they could end up going to my Adidas. Was that your steaming face?
David Dorn, Patrick Underwood. How about we get this hashtag trending? Hashtag Black Cops Matter. Hashtag Black Cops Matter. I want to see everyone using this out there because I want them to know that we support them. Not only white guys, not only a bunch of privileged folks or quarter black people, but black people.
Why'd you point at me for privilege?
Because you're very white.
Privileged man.
When people have neo-Nazi nightmares, they picture you.
They don't think of me.
They picture you just add an armband.
I've never
tall, blonde, blue eyes.
Oh yeah, well you're making a point.
6'4". Played at Notre Dame.
Traditionally white.
Couldn't go to Alabama, could you? We know what's happening there.
I could have, but I didn't want
I know
to.
you could have.
I hate them.
An incredible athlete.
Terrible school.
All right, I don't know if I have that much more to say on that. I'm upset about it.
I do have a quote here, right? So Donald Trump actually tweeted something out. It was a very nice tweet on this and saying, honoring his memory, Dorn's memory, and saying that, we should get the killers right. So it was a very nice tweet. It wasn't political.
The best tweet.
Yeah, it was very much so the best tweet. And then the filmmaker, Ava DuVernay? Is that how you say it? DuVernay? Doesn't make any good movies.
What has she done?
She quoted...
Wrinkle in Time.
That's what I asked, too.
Wrinkle in Time?
Yeah, she's
Disney
woke.
movie.
So, okay. What is Wrinkle in Time?
Is
it about like a time-traveling Sharpay?
It's an adaptation of an old book.
Oh, okay. Right.
Oh.
You got to clean their wrinkles, otherwise it gets skin infections.
You definitely do. So
Staff
Donald
is
Trump's
no
tweet,
joke. Staff is no joke.
Don't screw around with it. I heard her response to Donald Trump's tweet, which was totally fun, right? We've got it on the screen right now. It says, "We won't let you use this black man for your political gain. You can try, but we will not let it happen. Bring it back up, guys, if you can, the overlay. May he rest in peace. May the truth about his murders come to light, and may he not have his name dragged into your vicious, evil games." Are you serious? The President of the United States just came out and said, "This is a horrific crime, and I'm honoring the memory of this police officer." And your response to him is get his name out of your mouth. Get it out of your vicious, evil schemes. We're not going to let you use him for political gain.
Yeah, stop using dead guys for political gain. That's our thing.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't think that's our thing. That's typically not
no.
what
I guess
we do.
that's what DuVernay is saying.
Did you also go to him on Memorial Day and say, "Hey, when you said thank you to all the troops who have laid down their lives for this country, did you say get their names out of your mouth? I won't let you use them for a political stunt." Is that your answer every time we try to honor somebody?
Right now, it's very clear to see the narrative. They see the Black Lives Matter activists out there, and by the way, that means woke white people as well. They see them as the freedom fighters.
Yeah.
They see them as the freedom fighters, and now, unfortunately, because the military has, out of necessity, been brought in, they see them as oppressing the freedom fighters.
Yeah.
They're just like terrorists in the Middle East.
Well, police organizations are local, right? National Guard, local to the state. The governor calls them in. If you've got a problem with how your state is handling this, look at your local officials.
And you know what else?
Not Donald Trump.
As well, a lot of people going, oh, look at these peaceful protesters and cops reacting. Most of the time what you're seeing is cops setting up a barricade after a violent riot. And then protesters. Yeah, guys, hold on a second. Keep it down there. I don't know what's the two. What are the two Stooges doing?
Well, we thought, you know.
Shemp.
We have a fun fact.
Okay.
We were
Fun
looking
facts.
up Ava DuVernay, and you are blocked.
Really?
Oh, nice.
Look at that.
Oh, you know
that
what?
guy, there's silver
no, I
linings.
remember. I think I saw her one-man show. 1Z show in
One
Broadway.
Z, you have to say.
I walked out after she got out of the turtleneck and went, I am born.
Why did you walk in the first place?
And that was mainly, I checked out after Ultimatum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unlike
tickets were
Rashida
like
Tlaib, unlike Rashida Tlaib, she can legally block it. Bad filmmakers can legally.
Right, they can.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm sure she also hates
It's
Jews.
a positive, really.
So let's be clear about this. What you're usually seeing, and this happens quite a bit. Look, I'm peaceful. Well, what often happens, not what often, what has happened in every single city is there's some kind of a violent riot, and then police have to set up a barricade. Certainly for the White House, when you're trying to storm the White House,
Yeah.
they have to set up a blockade, and then people are behind the police line. Guess what? If you're behind the police line, you're not peaceful. You're not peaceful. I'm sorry. And you also have no business being out there if other people are rioting and looting around you.
Yeah, get out of there.
Sorry. It's no longer peaceful. If you go to a meeting with the Crips, it's like I was just there. Like I was just a I'm a documentarian though.
Yeah.
Really? Can I see your body of work? I ain't started yet.
Yeah. This is my first one.
Everybody's got to start somewhere, Steve.
I'm gonna be on YouTube.
It's Getty Images or YouTube.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
All right, Lyle, get your Skechers and get out of here. Yeah, you right.
Gotta go. Only one free pair.
Yeah. One per customer.
That's what really pisses me off.
One? Oh, man.
They're stealing the hand sanitizer
Guess
too,
we're
and they
gonna
are
have to take
not
all of
abiding
them
by
then.
one per customer.
They are not abiding by any of the
Bastards.
social distancing rules right now. That's one thing that we noticed.
Oh,
We have
isn't that
another
hilarious?
story.
Nobody said
Yeah,
that,
nobody.
sorry.
Well, we were
Not-
there
not
at
one
the
freaking
Vandal
person.
in Dallas, by the way. And this is something I'll be talking with Manny about if you think that it's wrong to paint over graffiti. Because
Yeah.
for some reason there's this entitlement mindset that if it's a mural, it's art. Well, how about I piss my name on your pillowcase while you're sleeping?
exactly.
It's not your
It's
canvas. What if you just went into the art store and be like, oh, this is a nice cat. Which one? This one's $49.95. And
It's art.
it's mine
art.
now.
It's
mine now.
It's art.
You don't call shotgun.
Right?
Society doesn't
It's
work
not
that
a
way.
Banksy down there, all right? It's not
All
like
right.
we're defacing
We're going to be
something.
talking about Seth Rogen, and we will be updating you on the Vandal in Dallas. Some interesting developments there.
Nice.
Hint, woke, privilege, and bullshit. But for right now, this is our